in the heart of a lush African village, where the sun painted the earth with golden hues every morning, there lived a young girl named Samantha. She was the only daughter of Mr. Igwe, a respected and hard-working man, and his gentle wife, Mama Ifoma. Their home stood at the edge of the village, surrounded by thick forest, where elders often gathered to tell stories under the shade of tall trees. Samantha was a bright, cheerful soul, admired for her strength and courage. But there was a darkness in her life that no one knew about. It began quietly, like a subtle stirring of the wind before a storm. Her father's best friend, Mr. Fedinard, a man of towering stature and sharp eyes, would visit their home often, a man with wealth and charm. He always seemed to bring with him an aura of danger, even if no one could quite place it. Mr. Fedinard would spend hours with Mr. Igwe in the living room, speaking of matters beyond Samantha's understanding. At first, Samantha found his visit innocuous. However, it soon became clear that the visit had a darker purpose. One evening, when the house was quiet and her parents were away on business, Mr. Fedinard entered the house as usual. The air in the room felt thick, with a strange tension. Samantha was alone, sitting near the hearth where she usually prepared the evening meal. "Hello, my dear," Mr. Fedinard greeted with a smile that never reached his eyes. He reached out to touch her hair, but Samantha, for reasons she could not explain, felt a shiver down her spine. She quickly looked away, pretending to focus on the fire. But as soon as her father's friend stepped closer, the warmth of the heat seemed to disappear, replaced by a coldness that settled deep in her bones. Before she could speak, Mr. Fedinard locked the door behind him. It was then that the terror began. Over the next few months, Mr. Fedinard's visits became more frequent, and his intentions darker. He would come when her parents were away, and no matter how much she resisted, his strength was overwhelming. He threatened to harm her family if she ever spoke of the abuse, leaving Samantha terrified into silence. Her world, once filled with light, now seemed consumed by darkness. The once joyful and carefree girl was replaced by someone who walked in shadows, a prisoner in her own home. The weight of her secrets became unbearable, and when she realized she was pregnant, the despair nearly swallowed her whole. Samantha's mind raced with fear. She could not tell her parents, not when the threats of Mr. Fedinard echoed in her ears. "If you speak, I will destroy your family," he would say, his voice cold as ice. She feared that even if she told them, they wouldn't believe her. How could she speak of such a shameful thing? And who would ever listen to her over a man as esteemed as Mr. Fedinard? The days grew heavier, and as the pregnancy progressed, she tried to hide it, but her mother began to notice. Her eyes grew suspicious, yet she never asked the hard question, as if unwilling to face the truth. But Samantha could not continue living this lie. In a twist of fate, her father, Mr. Igwe, noticed the changes in his daughter's demeanor and the shadow in her eyes. He couldn't bear the thought of anyone harming his beloved daughter. Yet the village had already begun to talk. Rumors spread about the quiet, withdrawn girl, and Mr. Igwe, unable to confront the possibilities of such betrayal, decided it was best for Samantha to leave. "Take her to your sister's village," Mr. Igwe told Mama Ifoma. "Let her stay there for a while. She will be safe there." And so, without knowing the truth, Samantha was sent away to Auntie Nkechi's village. Nestled in the hills of the neighboring land, it was there that her life would change forever. Samantha arrived at her auntie's village, a place she had only visited as a child. It was a small, close-knit community where everyone knew each other's name. Auntie Nkechi was a strong, wise woman known for her deep understanding of spiritual things and her kindness towards everyone in the village. But it was not only her wisdom that earned her respect, it was her deep connection with God and the stories in the Bible, the ones who knew of suffering and healing. For the first time in months, Samantha felt a silver of peace. Auntie Nkechi welcomed her with open arms, but there was no joy in her eyes. She knew something was wrong. When she arrived, her aunt saw the emptiness in her niece's eyes and the quiet sorrow that clung to her like a second skin. Days passed and Samantha remained silent. But Auntie Nkechi could see the signs. She could feel that her niece was not just ill from a passing sickness, but burdened by something far more profound. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon and the stars began to twinkle in the sky, Auntie Nkechi sat down with Samantha by the fire. "Child," she said softly, "there is something heavy on your heart. You do not need to carry it alone." For a moment, Samantha stared at the fire, her heart racing. The memories of her father's friend, Mr. Fedinard, flooded her mind. The torment, the fear, the sense of powerlessness, it all rushed back to her. She wanted to scream, but the words wouldn't come. She was afraid of what Auntie Nkechi might think, afraid of how the village might react, but most of all afraid of the truth. Auntie Nkechi, sensing the deep fear in Samantha's silence, placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Whatever it is, my dear, you can tell me. I am your mother's sister. I will listen." Tears welled up in Samantha's eyes, and before she could stop them, she spilled down her cheeks. The words came rushing out, desperate and broken, as she revealed the horrific truth. She spoke of Mr. Fedinard, of his visit, and of the torment she had suffered in silence. She told Auntie Nkechi about the threat, the pregnancy, and the crushing shame that had kept her silent for long. When she finished, Auntie Nkechi was silent for a long time. She did not speak, but the storm of emotions inside her was clear: rage, sadness, and the deep pain of betrayal. "You are not alone," Auntie Nkechi said finally, her voice strong and unwavering. "We will not let this man destroy you. We will seek justice. Samantha, you are not to be blamed for what happened." Samantha looked up at her aunt, her face filled with disbelief. "But he will kill us. He said he would," Samantha whispered. "We will be stronger than his threats. The God will guide us, and he will see us through. We will take this to the village elders, and we will expose the truth. He will face justice," Auntie Nkechi promised. The days that followed were filled with anxiety and preparation. Auntie Nkechi spoke to the village elders, seeking their counsel. She called upon the Spirit of God to give her strength to stand firm. They gathered evidence, and when the moment came, they confronted Mr. Fedinard. At first, he denied everything, his voice a smooth blend of lies and half-truths. But the evidence was overwhelming, and with the support of the elders and the community, Mr. Fedinard was apprehended. The trial was long and arduous, with many twists and turns, but the truth could not be hidden. However, in the midst of this fight for justice, Samantha lost the child she carried. It was a loss that cut deep down into her heart. But her aunt remained by her side, offering support and comfort. Together they began the long journey of healing. Auntie Nkechi took Samantha to a therapist, one who understood the depth of pain caused by trauma. It was through therapy, through understanding and compassion, that Samantha began to reclaim her life. Over time, Samantha became stronger. She found her voice again, and with the support of her aunt, she went on to pursue a career that allowed her to help others who had suffered as she had. She became a counselor, someone who understood the weight of silence and the power of speaking out. Her parents, upon learning the truth, were filled with regret and sorrow for not having seen the signs sooner. They were grateful to Auntie Nkechi for revealing the truth and for protecting their daughter. They supported Samantha's journey towards healing and justice, understanding that the scars of the past will take time to heal but cannot be ignored. Samantha's story became a beacon of hope for others. It was a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is a way to seek justice, to find healing and to rebuild it. It was a story of resilience, of love, and of the power of speaking the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Please like, share, and subscribe to get more interesting stories. Also, don't forget to leave a comment at the comment section.